welcome to episode 2 of Space Corps Directive 17412. This is just general chat. It's general chat. I don't have any plan. If anybody's ever seen me do anything online before, they'll know that I don't have any plan. It's just nice that I'm finally admitting it.
And if anyone's seen me perform with John, you know that I definitely don't have a plan to force on to you. So this is going to be very freeform, I think.
Absolutely. This is my co-host, Chris Ashworth. Co-host.
And this is my co-host, John Carruthers.
Yeah. Welcome to episode 2. We did the pilot last week, Chris. Myself, Andrew, and Joe did a pilot last week. We talked about the first episode of Red Dwarf, which is called The End.
Yeah, and it is, I think, in my opinion, one of the best episodes of Red Dwarf. It is incredible. Just everything about it. The what I loved about that episode is they build a whole world and then they just rip it all away from you.
Yeah. I did absolutely mention that. I just got the first. It was a half-hour episode.
It feels like a movie.
20 minutes. The first 20 minutes are basically this kind of world-building idea. You find out everybody's place in the world, blah blah blah, and then they just go.
You immediately get everything. The way they put it is like that. You have Todd Hunter. You have Rimmer lording it over Lester, and then you have Todd Hunter come in and just immediately make you realize that Rimmer has no authority.
Yeah,
it's really literally good. Just Lester, and then they take that away from him as well. Everything gets taken from Rimmer: his life, his authority, his respect. He never got any respect. But
yeah, Rimmer's my favorite character. I did mention this in the last episode as well.
So I haven't. If you've watched the pilot, I haven't. So if we cover the same ground,
fantastic. Well, that's good as well because it means that you almost don't need to be avoiding anything. You kind of go, oh, John last week said we're just. This is just a general kind of shooting the breeze.
Yeah, so it's true.
I
was going to say that I get why Rimmer would be a favorite character. And also Chris Barry to take all that punishment for that long.
Yeah.
With no
keep coming back for more.
Yeah, well, we mentioned on a different show earlier that Rimmer only really gets 2 victories, and we don't count Ace Rimmer as Rimmer. That's become a different beast at that point, but he gets 2 victories. The woman that he shags in Hollow Ship, and being brave, but then dying at the end of season 6. That's the only 2 victories, because he technically gets a victory on Wax World.
Yes,
but it's not really a victory. He kills everyone on the planet.
There's just so much. There's so much to kind of look forward to, and we've just barely scratched the surface. And Joe, who was in the pilot last week, never seen an episode of Red Dwarf. He watched the first episode. Yeah, he's American.
But what do you make of the first episode?
He loved it.
It's so good.
Yep.
Do you know, I had a friend who a couple of years, I think it might even have been during lockdown, was looking for things to watch, and I was like, "Oh, give Red Dwarf a go." And he's one of these people that fell off after the first 2 seasons. Whenever it sort of became something different after that. But he really liked the first 2 seasons, and he said that what amazed him most about it was that this show has the potential to be so depressing, but it's not.
Yeah.
Like if you really sat down, if you were in that situation, you really sat down and thought about it. Like in the book, there's a book. I think Chris Barry actually reads the audio book for it and does all the voices. He's really good at it. But
Infinity Williams, Careful Drivers. I'm going to be reviewing it in future weeks.
Well, I've listened to it 3 times on audiobook because I just like him reading it so much. But there's a bit in that they sort of repilot the pilot, so everything is changed to like be consistent where it wasn't in the show, and it wasn't in most British sitcoms. But in the repilot, once they don't bring Lester and Rimmer back at the same time. They bring Lester back first for a couple of weeks, and all he does is never wash and drink until he blacks out, then wake up and drinks until he blacks out, which you would in that situation. There's literally nothing else you can do. You've got a city's worth of booze and no one to talk to, and the only computer there is senile. So then they bring Rimmer in because Rimmer gives him a sort of like a routine and gives him something to fight against, which he needs.
That's excellent. Unless you know it inside out, give it another read stroke listen, and we'll do that in a couple of weeks if you're up for it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, I absolutely love this. I think it's on Spotify, so I'll get through it on there again.
Stuff. I've got a paper. This goes back to we were talking live on Tight 10 and Titan, which we do on my channel. This is obviously part of Ginger Media. The other thing I do isn't. Andrew, if you're watching, maybe we should get Tight 10 on Ginger Media. Just saying. But
this is the foot in the door, and then now you've got the elbow in.
I'm just going on. We'll obviously probably have to reformat it so that we're not using copyrighted material. But if you're up for it, Andrew, this is but this has gone off on a tangent. This is not like us at all, is it, Chris?
No, we never go off on tangents. We always stick to the source material. Actually, we have been a lot better than that recently. But let's not talk about that.
No, show. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, just like we're advertising something else now.
That's the thing. It completely changes it after the first two seasons, but the first two seasons are some of the best at just like the loneliness of Lester. Like that bit, there's a shot in the first season. I think it literally is the second or third episode where Lester's down the pub, down the disco, and it's everyone dancing, and it's the learn and drug episode, I think. The one where Lester tries to become a chef.
That's the last episode of season 1.
Is that the last episode of season 1? Okay.
I think it is. Is that not the one where he's trying to pass the test so they can outrank Rimmer?
Mr. Lister, sir.
Yeah, that's the end of season 1. God, I've not seen that since. I don't even want to think about how long ago it was. But
it's so good. But there's a shot in that.
For someone that's not actually watched the pilot that was released last week of us talking about this, you seem to be hitting a lot of the points that I think just shows the kind of the fact that you're a fan sort of thing. It's just
I mean the show's so it's so good in those ways that everyone's going to pick up on those things. But
it's just really good. So basically, my plan is we've obviously done the pilot. I want to review the US pilot.
Yes, I've seen that as well. It's absolutely ridiculous.
We'll do that at some point. And then I would love to have a read and a chat through Infinity Welcome's Care for Divers. And then that's almost like the kind of 3 iterations of the start of the show. I think that's a good kind of start place. I also want to. We're going to go through every single episode.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's no way we're not going to do that, and just character studies, favorite points, just kind of story arcs as well, character arcs, because I was talking last week about the fact that there is a very subtle development of these characters that's so subtle that you don't even realize it's happening.
Yeah, it develops for everyone. I'd say the person who develops the least is the cat.
Yeah, but I think that's the nature of the cat as well.
Yeah, it is to be a cat. But yeah, everyone has little. I mean, you're right in that it's subtle because you definitely have the sort of the theme for Lester is that he slowly becomes a mechanic. One of the themes anyway, and he still isn't a qualified mechanic by season 12.
Yeah.
It's a very slow crawl.
Yeah,
over decades. But,
I'll also say that we posted on Twitter last week that we'd recorded the first episode, and it was liked by Danny John Jules. The tweet.
No way! That's incredible.
I don't think you'd waste time watching it, but it's still quite cool to.
Yeah.
Unless he has actually the cat, just went, oh, they're going to be talking about me for an hour, and he just went.
That might be it. Yeah. Well, it's nice to have.
Absolutely.
Technically, thumbs up from one of the original cast and continuing cast if they make another one. I don't know if there's
there's apparently talk of the fact that we've got this to kind of come up as well as the fact that it looks like Grant and Naylor have come to some sort of kind of touching point and a way forward as well.
Yes, that is the universal sign for touching
But a
point.
touching point is 2 points touching.
Grunt and Naylor have.
We've all tried it. You also you touched upon something else that I touched on last week as well, and it's the fact that there seems to almost be eras of this show, where the first 2 seasons are very different than like season 3 to 5.
Yep, which is all very sort of actiony sci-fi films, sort of alien inspired, and
then season
RoboCop
6
as well.
Season 6 and 7 have got a slightly different vibe as well. But I won't go into. Well, anybody that's watching a Red Dwarf podcast probably knows kind of what happens.
I get it.
Hunt for Red Dwarf sort of thing.
It's just very different.
And then they have season 8, which kind of works in a very different way again. And then
it's a sort of standalone prison series.
It moved on to Dave after that, didn't it? So you've got like kind of
when it's picked back up with 10 because they had Back to Earth for 9.
Back to Earth was 9, and then so there's been 8, 9, and there's been 9, 10, 11, and 12, and then there was the Promised Land. So there's been real eras to this show that feels like kind of almost like chapters in the show's history where it has kind of moved and changed, and the whole kind of premise of the pilot is quite depressing.
It's a really dark start.
Yeah,
and it's almost amazing that, like, I don't know if it's difficult to say whether a sitcom could begin like that now, where it's literally like establish this world and then kill every. I suppose some shows have done it where they kill off pretty much everyone, but not Western shows. I don't know if anyone might be allowed to spoil other shows on here.
Yes.
So on Alice in Borderlands, the Japanese show,
which can I just start for a second? I've currently just started watching.
For real?
Yep. I just started watching it, but by the same token, I'm now far enough along that I know exactly what you're just about to say.
Yes. So they make you fall in love with these sort of, I think it's 4 main characters at the start, and the premise of the show is that they get trapped in kind of puzzle situations, but lethal puzzles that if you don't succeed, you get killed. Well, kind of like Squid Game, but with puzzles instead of children's games. And the really early on, like episode 3 or 4,
it's at the end of episode 3.
Yeah, end of episode 3, they play a game where it's hide and seek, but the seeker is the one that lives because the rest have bomb collars around their necks, and so. In one of the most heartbreaking bits of television, they all hide from the seeker because they want him to live because he's the best at doing these games.
Yeah.
So they all just die, and that's it.
Yep.
3/4 of the cast are killed off right near the start of the show.
I love it.
Yeah, I remember seeing it. I was literally like, and then I just thought, no Western show would have the balls to do that.
Squid Game messed with you in that regard as well. There was, I mean, you were just watching. There was some real heartbreaking moments in Squid Game, and I'm sure there's more heartbreaking moments to come in Alice in Borderland. But I'm just you actually finish an episode and you're almost exhausted, as if you had.
Yeah, as if the tension. They keep the tension up so high for so long that it's just absolutely brutal.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that doesn't happen in Red Dwarf.
It doesn't happen in Red Dwarf to the same degree, but they do actually, they create this kind of family for Lister, and it's really weird because Lister's at the bottom of the pile, but it still looks like everybody likes him. Kachansky's kind of flirtatious with him. Todd Hunter clearly prefers Lister over Rimmer. He's got a pals. Everybody seems, and then they just kind of wrench it away from him.
It reminds me of 2 things. First off, it reminds me of an Al Murray quote of all people, The Pub Landlord, where he talks about never excel, always bump along the bottom, because then everyone thinks you're a great bloke, which is how I approach life.
And that's why nobody likes me, because I'm amazing at everything.
It just excels in every field. He's a human calculator, John. He's mastered 17 languages.
But I'm not boastful about it.
Yeah, he never brings it up. I have to be
the one to bring it up for me.
The only thing he boasts about is how he doesn't boast.
Yep. And I'm probably the best at that.
What was the what was the other thing I was about to say? Because I said about where I've gotten lost. Because I was talking about that quote, but it reminded me of something else. Balls. I think it's gone.
That's the problem when you do a Shooting the Breeze episode.
Yeah,
no clear agenda, and this is where we excel.
It's pretty much just like being down at the pub, because now I'm just like, oh fuck, what was it?
Yeah, we'll rewatch this and then say that's what we meant to say.
That's what we meant to, while we're at the pub. We'll be at the pub. We'll
be at the
Google
pub,
it and we'll find out.
Rewatching this, kind of going, oh, for God's sake!
But yeah, he does. I do know what I was going to say. You probably did. If I had to guess about a particular joke or line from the pilot that you talked about, the one that always gets me is after Lister comes out of stasis and he goes into the drive room, and the whole time he's like picking at the dust, and it's all the crew. But there's a line that Holly says that I actually used once while I was working, and people were disgusted with me because the setting was so perfect for it. Except one person laughed really, really hard. Everyone else hated me.
I know the line you're talking about.
Yeah. So what happened was, he's like, Holly tells him that that's the disintegrated crew, and he's like, I've been eating half the crew, and he's like, was this Kachansky? And he looks at the navigator's chair, and Holly says, yeah. And he goes, oh no, she was part of my plan. We were going to move to Fiji together. And Holly goes, well, she won't be much good to you in Fiji now, unless you need something to grit the path with. Which I had the opportunity to say in work, because I was working in Northern Ireland at the time, and a friend had brought up a news article about how someone in Belfast had broken into someone's house and stolen their daughter's urn, and it was the middle of winter when they said it. So one of the other people at the table set me up perfect by going, what? I don't understand that. I mean, what is the point of doing that? And I said, well, maybe they need something to grit their path with. And immediately disgusted with me. The girl across the table who read the story out, Neve, went to uni with me, and she burst out laughing because she was used to that really dark. But everyone else at the table was like, fucking hell.
I knew it was going to be that. Also, he then follows up with a kind of another belter after that, just kind of going, well, I mean, if she was still alive, the age difference would have been insurmountable.
That's right, yeah.
Just so good. So good.
So many good. They also had similes. Red Dwarf similes are some of the best. Like, what was it? Whenever, I can't remember what Rimmer does, I can't remember what episode it is, but Lister says to him, you've got a bigger yellow streak than a herd of diuretic camels.
Yes.
Or another one I really like is he's running faster than a whippet with a bum full of dynamite. I've used that one myself. I love that one.
It's actually got me just genuinely excited about rewatching the show.
Yeah, no. So this is peeling back the layers of madness a little bit, but when I was a teenager, I suffered from horrible insomnia. So one of the things I would do is I had like TV shows that I'd watch, and one of them I would never watch it in order anymore. I'd watched it so much that I would just pick a random episode of like roll a dice and pick a random episode of Red Dwarf. It didn't matter which one it was. You were never like, ugh. But every night for a long time, I watched probably 6 episodes. So I probably watched a season of Red Dwarf a night for years.
Excellent.
So I have too much knowledge on it, if anything.
Yeah, that's quite exciting because you can keep me in check when I never get stuff wrong.
But I used to maintain that if you gave me 2 lines from any episode of Red Dwarf, I could instantly tell you the season and the episode and the title of the episode. I don't believe I can do that anymore, because I've had people test me on it now, and I'm like, I don't remember.
I'm going to try and test you on that. I remember that, just as an aside, years ago, for no reason whatsoever, this is related to that, but unrelated to Red Dwarf, and we'll probably end it on this because this was supposed to be a quick catch up, and my pal Derek,
right,
who I've known forever, like easily known Derek for 36, 37 years, right? No, God, longer than that. I keep forgetting my age. I've known Derek for over 40 years. In my head, I've just turned 40, but I've known Derek for over 40 years. And just one day out the blue, he just started quoting an episode of The Simpsons.
Right.
And it was it's a very early episode of The Simpsons, obviously, because we were very young at the time.
Can you remember the quote?
I can tell you what episode it was, but how do you think you could tell me what the episode was?
I would go at it. I mean, set him up. Let's play.
It's in the episode. There's a family in the car singing Bingo.
Right. Yes. I've seen the episode for sure.
So Derek we were just sitting. There was me and a couple of other people just sitting, and Derek just started saying every line from this episode, from start to finish.
Did he only have one episode?
He did the full 22 minutes from start to finish, verbatim.
No way.
And he'd clearly seen it a couple of times, and he just knew it.
He just learned it. I just learned it. I know that one.
And he didn't even prompt us to go, guys, do you remember that episode of The Simpsons where he just started?
He just started. Was he drunk? Was he?
No.
Was he just?
No, we weren't old enough to be drinking. He was just clearly. He's just.
Well, to be fair, at Derek's age, I reckon I could have done that with the entire Emperor's New Groove. Used to watch it every night before. Not every night, but most nights before I went to bed.
I think that's pretty much what happened. It was just so ingrained in his head because he could tell you like the Blues Brothers inside out. I don't know why it was that particular episode of The Simpsons, but he just did it.
He must have watched it so many times.
Yeah, he must have watched it so many times. But again, it was at a time where it wasn't, now because of Sky and stuff, you pretty much, if you watch Sky One, you probably, I'm not even sure if it's still on Sky One, but there was a point where everything that was in Sky One was you couldn't avoid The Simpsons and blah. And I can understand then, but that's not the era that we're talking about.
He must have had it on video and he just watched it.
Yeah, he must have had it on video. He must have done it.
You say that about The Simpsons. I remember a time when Friends was on more than the news.
Yeah,
no matter, I don't know how many channels Friends was on, but it was on a lot of them.
I remember they basically used to just show it in a loop in E4, and then they lost the rights. And I remember thinking, well, what are E4 going to show now?
Well, what are they going to do? Are they still going, E4?
I think E4's still going. I don't know.
I'll be honest.
I know that when they lost the rights to Friends, they just played How I Met Your Mother in a loop.
That's true, yeah. How I Met Your Mother sort of replaced it, and it was kind of the same premise as show, where it's just a bunch of friends that instead of hanging out in a coffee shop, they hang out in a bar, but basically the same premise.
It is the exact same premise, except it's better continuity than Friends, but we won't go into that. That's another podcast. I'm not saying it was a better show than Friends. I'm saying that it did really well in terms of continuity.
I don't remember Friends being good, but that's only because it was on so much that I became numb to it.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. I remember watching it, and I remember think it was all right. And I remember, I've seen every episode of Friends, so I mean, it must have been
easily.
Yeah, but I mean, it would probably never make my top 100 shows of all time.
I just remember during it was before lockdown. It was years before lockdown. Now I'm thinking on it. My pal, and this was when Friends was on all the time. I remember my pal telling me that he had bought the entire box set of Friends and that he was working through it. I just was like, why? Like that's one thing you don't need to pay for. It's on all the time.
Yeah, constantly. Bizarre. So we've talked about everything except Red Dwarf. No, I'm joking. Welcome to new Red Dwarf another Simpsons podcast.
I don't have enough. I don't have enough on them. The Red Dwarf special. It's good that you've chosen it because Red Dwarf is one of those shows. I actually think I'm trying to remember what other shows like that would be. So that would be one of them. Another one would be Community. I watched a shit ton of Community as a teenager.
Communities. Oh, I could do a Community podcast. Andrew, if you're watching this,
it'll just eventually be us reviewing every sitcom that's ever
existed. I think Community is next level. I think it's one of the best things to come out of the States. That and Arrested Development are two of my favourite American shows.
I've watched all of Arrested Development twice, I think. I've watched all Community numberless times. Red Dwarf even more than that.
Maybe we need to get a Community podcast in the go as well.
Code Geass is another one, but that wouldn't make a good sitcom. I don't know if you ever watched that. It was an anime. But a guy that gains the ability to, if he looks someone in the eye and gives them, it only works once, but if he looks someone in the eye and gives them a command, they are compelled to follow it. And once they've finished following it, they have no memory of having followed it. And he's a very logical, like, chess player. So one of the first things he does to test his power, he goes up to a woman and goes, every morning, can you leave an X on that wall? Or no, sorry, can you leave a tally on that wall? So then he just watches her as the days go by, so we can learn how long his power lasts. And there's a bit where Tokyo, which is where it's set, is nuked. The whole city goes, and you just see in the wasteland, the girl walks up to the wall and puts another mark on, and it's like full. It never wears off. If he gives you an open-ended command, it never wears off. It's such a good show, man. And it's about him. It's Britain has ruled Japan. The British Empire has conquered Japan, and he is a member of the British Empire that is pretending to be a Japanese person to overthrow the British government. So it's about him starting a revolution.
Wow, I need to watch that. This is amazing.
So good. Watch it in Japanese with subtitles because the English voice acting is terrible.
On that note, we've shot the breeze. That's what's coming up in future weeks of the Red Dwarf podcast. Space Corps Directive 17412, which is the name of the show. Which
I'm as a Red Dwarf fan, I'm really trying to remember which one that is. Am I gonna have to guess? Is it?
I can tell you.
No. I'm gonna try and guess. Is it the one about zero gravity?
No.
Is it the one about performing a ritual with a rabbi, a chicken, and it's not that one? Oh, is it the one about the bike seat?
Nope.
Is it the one about...
These are all episodes of Friends.
The one with the bike seat.
The one with the bike seat.
The one with the ritual, the rabbi, and the chicken. I'm running out of... is it the one about parking spaces?
Nope.
Is it the one... Give me one keyword. Give me...
If I give you a keyword, then you'll get it.
Oh, okay. Don't worry.
Do you know what? I'll just remind you that this is part of Ginger Media Limited.
Yes. Check out their other shows.
Check out their other shows. It's part of Ginger Media Limited, and that's important to what this Space Corps Directive is.
That's important to what the Space Corps Directive is?
Yeah. Well, I just tell you.
No, something with red hair. No. Okay, give me it. Go on.
No officer should report for duty wearing a ginger toupee.
That's great. I've forgotten that one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what episode it's from.
Well, we'll definitely cover it in a future episode.
Yeah, for sure. In fact, we should do a whole thing on Space Corps Directives.
Yeah, I mean that's happening. That's definitely happening. There's going to be favourite characters. There's going to be top 10 episodes. There's going to be, but I think definitely I want to cover the first 3 starts of the story. So we've obviously done the UK.
A good place to start.
I want to do the
start
US
at the start.
And I want to do Infinity Welcome Careful Driver. So I'm dead excited about it, and it'll be good to have you on the journey. Andrew and Joe, who were on the last episode as well, they're going to be coming along for the ride too. So it's dead exciting. So that's where that's supposed to be like a 10-minute catch up, and it's turned into something slightly longer, which I'm sure Andrew.
Yes, there'll be. I can already hear the scissors.
Yeah, it'll be snipping away. It'll just be like it'll turn into like a 2-minute clip of us kind of going. In future episodes, we will be covering the following. So that's what it's at. So this is the end. This is the end of episode 2, which depending on how kind of choppy Andrew gets, was either 32 minutes or 2 minutes,
or if depending on how the pilot's cut. This is the end of episode 1.
He's all, yeah, no, that's true. Yeah. So this has been Chris Ashworth
And this has been John Carruthers.
Good night, or good afternoon, or good morning, depending on when you're watching us, because that's the beauty of a podcast is there's no time that you have to watch this.
Nobody's your boss.
Nobody's your boss. You watch this whenever you damn well. I should have said that at the beginning. If I've said at the end, you said, well, John, it's too late now.
I've already watched it. I've already watched it and I'm in work.
I've watched it in work. I'm doing nothing today. 8:37 a.m. Thanks very much. Anyway, right, you guys have been fantastic. If you watched this, enjoy, comment, do your thing, tell us what you want to see in future episodes, and we'll hopefully see you. We won't see you, but you'll see us.